Psych Coach TV, where discovery begins. Neglectful parents, how they messed you up as a kid. Hey psychonauts, before we dive in, I want you to imagine growing up in a house where all your basic needs are met. You have food, clothes, maybe even the best toys, but something crucial is missing. There's an emptiness you can't quite put your finger on, a void that leaves you feeling unseen and unheard. Today, we're going to explore what that emptiness really is and how it affects us long after childhood. We're talking about childhood emotional neglect, or CN, and how to overcome its lingering effects. First, let's clarify what I mean by childhood emotional neglect, or CN. Essentially, CN occurs when our parents weren't there for us emotionally in the ways we needed. This could have been when we needed comfort, reassurance, or simply a supportive presence, but they weren't available for us in that way. They might have been physically present, but emotionally distant, or they might not have been there at all. CN can also happen in situations where all our physical needs were met, like having food, clothing, transportation, and even a good education, but the emotional support was missing. Now that we've defined what CN is, let's explore how you can recognize if you've experienced it. Growing up in an emotionally neglectful environment can make us feel like our thoughts, feelings, and needs don't matter. This can lead to questioning our own experiences and struggling to trust our emotions. We might find it hard to let others in and often worry about what others think of us. Not having our emotional needs met as children leaves us without a solid foundation, making it difficult to understand who we are, what we want, or if we're truly valued. One of the challenging aspects of emotional neglect is that it's often not obvious or intentional, so it can go unnoticed for years. Parents who were emotionally neglectful might have provided everything we needed materially, making them appear to be great parents from the outside. But if they weren't there when we needed emotional support, it can have a lasting impact. Because our emotional needs were never fully met, people who suffer from CN might find themselves in unhealthy or abusive relationships. Others might struggle to form relationships at all, fearing they'll repeat the same painful dynamics from their childhood. Since CN can manifest differently for each person, here are some additional signs that you might be dealing with it. 1. Are you a people pleaser, always trying to do everything just right for others? 2. Do you get easily upset and overly concerned about what others think of you? 3. Do you struggle to recognize your feelings until they become so overwhelming that you can't manage them? If any of these signs resonate with you, let's talk about how to start recovering from CN. My first recommendation is to begin noticing and tracking your feelings. This might sound familiar to some of you, but it can be incredibly transformative. You can find and print out feelings charts online and start tracking your emotions every day. At first, it might be tough. Many people find the emotions they feel are too overwhelming or scary to face. So start with the simpler ones, emotions like tired, sad, or worried, which are often easier to manage. The key is to give yourself the chance to figure out your true feelings, especially if you've been emotionally neglected for a long time. This process will help you reconnect with who you really are. Here's a summary in my own words. Take the time to explore and understand your true self. Once you start to grasp who you are, the next step is to describe your emotions without using the exact word. For example, instead of saying you're happy, you might say you feel energized and excited. This process helps you connect more deeply with your feelings. Next, recognize and acknowledge your needs. Oftentimes, if our needs are ignored, we might start to believe that they are too much or that something is wrong with us for having them. It's important to take the time to understand and accept your needs, even if it feels vulnerable, and it's often easier to do this alone. Imagine someone else you care about having the same needs. This shift in perspective can help you realize that those needs aren't too much, and you'd likely be willing to help them. As you begin to accept your needs, it can change the belief that they're unimportant or overwhelming. Self-care is crucial in this process because it sends a message to yourself that your body and soul matter. Start by identifying ways you might be neglecting your physical or emotional well-being, like not sleeping well, not eating regularly, or not expressing your feelings. Consider ways to address these issues, whether through journaling, therapy, or other means. Make a list of things that make you feel nurtured and cared for. This can be challenging but important, and it might help to do it with a therapist. Think about what soothes you, or what you wished your parents had done for you, and make time to do those things for yourself. Finally, accept help and support from others. It can be tough to let people in, especially if you felt like you're too much or not important. Start small by sharing light details about your day with people you trust. Gradually allow them to know more about you as they prove to be respectful and deserving of your friendship. Take some time to understand your true self. Once you get comfortable with that, the next step is to describe your emotions without using the exact words. For example, instead of saying happy, you might say you feel energized, excited, and bubbly. This helps you connect more deeply with how you feel. After that, start paying attention to your needs. When our needs are ignored, we might begin to think they're too much or that there's something wrong with us for having them. It's important to acknowledge these needs, even though it can feel vulnerable, especially when doing so with a therapist. Often it's easier to do this on your own. You might also find it helpful to imagine that someone else you care about has the same needs. Would you think their needs are too much? Chances are, you'd be more than willing to help them, which can help you realize your own needs are valid and not excessive. As you slowly begin to accept your needs, you can change the belief that they're unimportant or too overwhelming. Self-care is essential in this process, as it shows your body and soul that they matter. Start by identifying areas where you might be neglecting yourself, such as not sleeping well, not eating regularly, or not expressing your feelings. Consider ways to address these, whether through journaling, therapy, or other methods. Then, make a list of things that help you feel nurtured and cared for. This can be challenging, but it's important to think about what soothes you, or what you wished your parents had done for you, and make time to do those things for yourself. Another key step in overcoming emotional neglect is to allow help and support from others. It can be difficult to let people in, especially if you felt unimportant or too much. Start small by sharing little things about your day with trusted people. Gradually, as they prove trustworthy, you can let them know more about you. Lean on them a little and slowly build a support system to help you challenge the negative beliefs you grew up with. Finally, setting healthy boundaries is crucial. It's okay to say no when something doesn't align with your needs or self-care. Don't let others take advantage of you. By setting boundaries, you reinforce that your feelings are valid and that you're important. Often when we say no, we realize it wasn't as big a deal as we feared, and people usually just move on. Sharing your experiences can also be valuable, as we all work towards better mental and physical health together. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. For more content like this, hit the subscribe button and don't forget to press the notification bell for weekly updates.